A lever has three major parts or features. Here is the fulcrum in the middle, and that's what kind of balances things out. The load is what we want to move, and the effort is where we put the energy or force, and here we'll do it in the form of pennies. Okay, so our goal is to see how many pennies it will take to lift the load when the position of the fulcrum is at different areas. Okay, we have a ruler and we're going to adjust it and write the number of pennies it takes to lift the load. So as you can see, this ruler is adjustable, and we're going to start so that the fulcrum is under the 5 centimeter mark. And this looks like an egg, but it's actually a stone. That's our load. Let's see how many pennies it takes. Can't really see what I'm doing there, but I put in 4 pennies. It took 4 pennies in order to lift the load. Alright, so at 5 centimeters, it took 4 pennies to lift the load. Now let's empty the cup. And adjust the ruler so that the fulcrum is at 15 centimeters. Can you guess how many pennies it'll take? I'm going to fast forward because it took a lot of time to count all those pennies. And when I counted, it took 30 pennies. So when the position of the fulcrum was 15 centimeters, it took 30 pennies to lift the load. And finally, let's empty the cup. And adjust the fulcrum so that it's at 25 centimeters. Can you guess how many pennies it'll take now? More or less? Alright, again, I'm going to fast forward through this. As you can see, I had a little accident, but I was able to get my data. So when the fulcrum was at 25 centimeters, it took 166 pennies to lift the load. This experiment gives us information about how a lever works. So the way a lever works is it increases the distance and it makes less force have to be used, because force times the distance equals the amount of work that needs to be done. So it's still the same amount of work, but as we move the fulcrum away from the effort, less force is required to lift the load. And on the other hand, the closer the fulcrum is to the effort, the more force is required to do the work. So basically, less distance means more force, and more distance means less force in order to complete the work.